If you've been around for any period of time on the Republican Party, you know that there's some crazy stuff going on right now. There's a big split between MAGA and America First. You got a bunch of wild things going on. Can MAGA actually survive the America First split? Can the GOP even survive? We're going to break this down in this episode. I'm Jarrod Wright. This is The Right Wing. Make sure you hit the buttons. Make sure you hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post, because you have got to keep up with what I'm telling you. I give you the truth all the time. But we're going to dive right into this. Let's get into it.
The Right Wing has been excellent. Jarrod Wright, Christian nationalist influencer.
Can the GOP survive the America First movement? That's the question we're answering today, because this has been a pretty major movement. If you've been around, you understand the GOP is MAGA now. In all reality, Make America Great Again is the name that the GOP goes by, essentially. You have the diehard Trumpers. You have those people. And then you got this new movement coming up, the America First movement. And what's it about? You know, you got guys like Nick Fuentes who seem to be at the head of it. He kind of is the champion of it. He's been doing this for 10 years and has really broke into the mainstream this past year. But can the GOP survive what's going on? I mean, that's the question we're going to be answering. We're going to dive into kind of what's happened, the history of it, and what it is. And we're going to answer that question. You know, it's going to be good. You need to stick around. And the main thing we have to decide is, what is the GOP at this point? You know, the GOP, the grand old party, the Republican Party. Whenever you think of that, for me, when I hear GOP, I think of the Bush administration, right? And maybe that's my age showing. I don't know, because I'm still young. But I think of you know, George W. Bush. I think of, you know, 9/11. I think of the Afghan wars. I think of the Neocon movement. I think, if you don't know what that is, it's neoconservatism, which was basically the doctrine that, hey, we need to go instill worldwide peace everywhere. And anybody that's a communist or anybody that we label a terrorist, we're going to bomb. I'm not a fan of that. You know, this is what a lot of the guys still are. Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz is. Trump has apparently turned into one. He's like a new gen neocon. That's not what we want for the American First Party, the America First GOP. And that's what kind of begs the question is, can the GOP actually survive? Or is this going to become a movement greater than that? Is this going to become something that can't be put down? That's really the heart of it. You know, the 80s, 90s, the Reaganomics Republicans, they're not here anymore. And if they are, they're boomers. I mean, if we're being honest, it's just not real. You know, and even at that, even outside of, you know, if you want to call it like Monroe Doctrine, whatever you want to call the neoconservatism part, when it comes to foreign policy, even just the full-on conservatism of that group, sadly, has fell apart within the modern conservatives. What you have is you have neocons when it comes to foreign policy, but you have a lack of actual conservatism when it comes to social aspects, when it comes to even economics to a lot of extent. You don't have them standing up for things like standing up against gays, standing up against abortion, standing up against for transgenders. They're not standing up to those things. They're saying, yeah, we'll allow it. That was never a part of our party. And now all of a sudden it's okay for some reason. I don't understand why that is. So what is the next steps? How has the America First Party grown? Well, really what's happened is my generation has saw the firsthand effects of what has happened from our endless wars, especially within the Middle East. We go in, we determine that we need regime change somewhere, and then we do it. We risk our people's lives. We waste our taxpayer dollars. We go into a country and we just start bombing it. And we decide that we're going to put who we want in charge, or rather who that country wants to have in charge, if we're being honest. That country. That's what it all comes back to in most of these instances. And that's one of the, you know, in what Fuentes says. He says, hey, look, this all comes back to these people. This is what happens. This is what they've asked for. And I don't agree with that, especially when we're shipping so much money to them. You know, it's not even direct shipments of money. It's also our money to go fight wars for them. That's what the primary issue really is, if we're being honest. And that's something that I'm just not a fan of, that I'm not going to want to push. I'm going to want to bolster. I'm going to want to promote. Because why are we doing that? When we have this many problems at home, why are we just shipping money to them? Why do their women get stipends for every single child they have so that they don't have to work? Why do they have universal health care? Why do they have all these things on our dollar, on our dime, on our tax dollar? It's me and you paying for it. So that's kind of like the big jumbled up version of the neocon movement. Now the GOP is changing to a lot of an extent. You know, before it was primarily, honestly, white people. Now you're seeing the GOP as a very multi-ethnic thing. You have guys like Vivek Ramaswamy, who does not represent any sort of American dream to me. He's essentially an anchor baby. I might as well call him that. He came here, his parents were H-1Bs. He comes here, his family's pretty loaded from what it appears to be, and he starts this whole thing where it's like he's not American. He's talking about American politics. He doesn't even really care about America. He doesn't represent our values. He doesn't represent what we want for America. It's the same with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is not a part of this new movement, however hard that he tries to act like he's a part of this movement. J.D. Vance went and married an Indian woman. Her parents were H-1B. She's an anchor baby, basically. They come here. She's born. Now she's a citizen because of birthright citizenship and stuff. You know, her parents, did get citizenship. They went and took the test eventually. His kids are Indians. He wears the Indian get up. He went to the Taj Mahal. His son's name is also Vivek, after Vivek Ramaswamy. That's not the American dream. If you cannot maintain the American dream in your home, the American what we want, the American vision in your home, in your household, why do we expect for you to do that in office as the president? Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to think, this has always been a white Christian country. That doesn't mean only whites are allowed or only Christians, but that is what we are. It's what we were founded on. A Western European white Christian nation, coalition of a lot of people coming into one spot, all from the same basic background, though different nationalities, and we formed this nation. This wasn't an Indian nation. This wasn't a Somalian nation. This wasn't even really a Hispanic nation when it comes to like South America and such. This was a Western European nation. It is a Western European nation, and we're losing that identity. That doesn't mean I hate Mexicans or blacks or Somalians or Indians. You know what that means? That quite literally means that's what we were built on. Is it racist to say that China is a Chinese nation? Is it racist to say Japan is a Japanese nation, an Asian nation? Is it racist to even say that Nigeria is a black nation? No. But whenever I say this is a white nation, people lose their minds. They go insane. They go berserk. How dare I say that? And then they call me a racist. That's my favorite. Yeah, maybe I'm a racist. Maybe all of America First is racist, if that's what you want to call it. At this point, I just want to maintain my nation. Here's what ultimately happens when we ship in the third world. We become the third world. Crime rates go up. You have major government spending issues in those communities. White people are the most underrepresented crowd in America when it comes to how tax dollars are spent. We pay in money, whereas every other ethnicity gets money from the government. We're at net negative. They're at net positive. Is that racist? Is that statistic racist? But yet we're allowing that in this movement. And that's one of the big rifts within this GOP movement. And the America First versus the MAGA coalitions, who's going to win? The America First coalition is saying, hey, look, this is a white Christian country. And we're going to put this country first, and we're going to put its natives first. That doesn't mean we're going to deport every single black person or something. That's not our goal. That's not even, some people push remigration. I don't mind remigration. I think it would be beneficial. I think we need mass deportations, first and foremost. I think we need to get a lot of things under control. That's all a part of the America First movement. The GOP doesn't think that. The GOP is like, no, we need more H-1Bs. The GOP says, no, let's bring in more Indians to take the white people's jobs and not do as good of a job and drive the salary down, because that's exactly what happens when you have H-1Bs here. I've broke it down so many times. It's so many times. And people just don't get it. They don't. They are completely race blind. I'm not race blind. I see race. I understand differences in race. I love all people. But loving you doesn't mean that I have to just absolutely welcome all of your people to come to this country. We have borders. We have rules. We have legislations. We have a culture. I want to stick to that culture. That's part of America First. And so what is the next couple of years going to look like? We saw it in the midterms. America First basically said, hey, screw you, GOP. You disowned us. Trump said, if you're criticizing Israel, he doesn't want you to be a part of this movement. Okay, then we won't. We won't vote. We didn't show up to vote because we didn't care. And the Republicans got hammered in these midterms. Hammered. It wasn't even close. Every single play, and you expect to lose midterms in general, but this was above and beyond. Every place lost, or lost points, I should say, over the expected, over what was, expected to happen. The Republicans lost. People like me did not go vote because we're not going to support it. I don't support Trump. Trump is a neocon now. He is a next-gen neocon. And whenever you have a next-gen neocon in office who's actually comes out and says, I don't want your support if you're going to criticize that country, we're not going to vote. We're not going to vote for anyone he endorses. We're not going to vote for anything that he does. Ultimately, Trump is much, much, much too liberal for me, which is so funny because the left looks at Trump and says he's a fascist. People like me look at Trump and say, no, you're far too liberal for what we actually need. And it's not going to actually get anything done. That's his issue. And if you're saying, whoa, how can he say that? Ask yourself, what has Trump done that's fascist? Honestly, we don't have mass deportations. We don't have maybe a stronger border. He's going and bombing other countries, which we didn't really want to do. That was part of the neocon thing. But so bomb and get regime change in Iran now. That's what we're going to do on behalf of that country, the other country. So no, he's not fascist. I wish he was more fascist, if I'm being quite honest. I wish he would say, no, here's the law and you're going to abide by it. But he doesn't do that. He's weak. And that's it. So he's far too liberal. So that's what everyone said. And MAGA crumbled. They crumbled in these midterms. Can they survive it? They're going to have to see a real change. It's not going to be Trumponomics. Not going to be Reaganomics. It's not going to be anything resembling those two. It's going to have to be something new if they want to win. And the other people that are what I'm going to call middle of the roaders, which is really what your MAGA movement is. If you're still a Trumper, you're really middle of the road. You're really right down the middle. Like, just being honest, you're going to have to come over to our side or you're going to have to vote blue. That's what's going to happen. Either the GOP never wins again and the America First party overtakes it, or you're going to have to join the America First movement. You can call it the GOP if you want to, but we're going to overtake the party. We're going to create a new party, a true third party, not a libertarian party. That's never going to get enough people. I'm talking about a true third party like the America First movement, where people are so radicalized by what's going on that they're going to band together and they're going to say, hey, we're here to fight. We're here to win this country back. We're here to do something that actually matters. We're here to actually prioritize the people of this nation. How many laws have been passed since I was born that actually said, hey, I would like to prioritize a straight, white Christian man in this nation? Probably zero. Honestly, just a middle of the road income, normal white person. How many laws have been passed to prioritize us? Which is the majority of this nation, by the way. None. They don't prioritize us. And that's the point. That's the issue. Everything that happens screws the American people. We're done with that. The America First movement is coming in. It's either going to completely overtake the GOP or it'll create a third party and wipe out the GOP. And this will be the right wing. I am the right wing, the other one. So if you like this idea, if you like what's coming, if you want to be a part of it, hit the subscribe, hit the follow. We're here. We're talking about it. We're making tomorrow happen today. We're starting this movement early so that we're ready for what's to come. I'm Jarrod Wright. This is The Right Wing. Hope you have a great day.